A real assessment of events. The challenges of global politics on the air of Radio Georgian Times. Real politics with Malkhaz Gulashvili.
Greetings, dear viewers and radio listeners. You are watching and listening to the Georgian Times Broadcasting Company's program, Real Politics. I'm Malkhaz Gulashvili. Today is Friday, and traditionally, together with Goga Khaindrava, we will review, analyze, and forecast the current events unfolding in Georgia and around the world. Goga, first of all, let me congratulate you on Jorgoba, as well as all those named Georgi and the parish of Kashveti Church.
Thank you, my friend. Bless you.
And dear viewers, don't forget to subscribe to our channel TV Georgian Times, as well as our international channel TV Georgian Times International, where content will also be published in Russian and English. Like the program, leave comments, ask questions, we'll answer as many as we can, and share the program with your friends. What is written in the American one-page proposal to Iran? How long will the fragile peace between the opposing sides last? Why does Trump say that Iran's leaders forget tomorrow what they promised today? What is the president of Ukraine accusing the president of Russia of, and what threats is he making? Is a major provocation being planned during the May 9th Victory Day parade? Why was Armenia's ambassador summoned to the Russian Foreign Ministry? And what about the Yerevan summit was unacceptable to the Kremlin? We will discuss all this today. Yesterday, Armenia's ambassador to Russia, Gurgen Arsenyan, was summoned to the Russian Foreign Ministry because of statements made in Armenia by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Russian media reported the information. The head of the diplomatic mission was informed that it was categorically unacceptable for the leader of what Russia calls the Nazi regime in Kyiv, Volodymyr Zelensky, to be given a platform during EU-sponsored events in Armenia to issue terrorist threats against Russia. This was stated in the Russian Foreign Ministry's announcement. According to the ministry, Moscow is outraged and believes that Yerevan's failure to negatively assess Zelensky's remarks does not correspond to the nature of a partnership relationship. According to diplomatic sources, the conversation was extremely harsh. Arsenyan promised to convey Moscow's message to Armenia's leadership. For reference, on Monday, during the opening of the European Political Community Summit in Yerevan, Volodymyr Zelensky stated that Ukrainian drones might fly over Moscow during the May 9th parade.
They already flew today.
What
am I supposed to say here now? We all know what Russia is and what kind of war it is waging in Ukraine. The same Russia occupies 30% of Georgia's territory. What the Russian Empire represents has been known for as long as it has existed. But this evil clown, Volodymyr Zelensky, who is systematically destroying the Ukrainian people with whom he has no real connection other than carrying out orders, that's obvious too. It is absolutely clear what kind of response this madness and hysteria will provoke. We all saw the statement from the Russian Foreign Ministry urging foreign countries to evacuate their embassies from Kyiv.
Maria Zakharova stated that Zelensky's visit to Yerevan demonstrated the kind of future the European Union is preparing for Armenia. She said this was a true gift for the Armenian people to witness a figure raised by Brussels who has become the embodiment of how the EU treats so-called young democracies. According to Zakharova, Armenia is being drawn into Europe's militarization plans and will also be dragged toward the same front line. She emphasized that Russia remembers that Armenia gave a platform to what Moscow calls the terrorist Zelensky. Russian society, she said, not only saw this with deep outrage, but will also remember it, which she described as the most dangerous part. The fact that Armenia, a country Russia traditionally considers brotherly and friendly, provided a platform for the head of the neo-Nazi regime in Kyiv, stated the spokesperson.
The most dangerous phrase in that statement is "they will remember." That is a direct threat, an open and undisguised threat. And we all know what usually follows such threats. But that's Armenia's problem. I think it is absolutely obvious today that one would have to be crazy to confront a Russia enraged by war alongside Macron and those people in Europe who are already counting their remaining days politically.
Ukrainians announced that they will begin assembling drones in Armenia.
And where exactly are those drones supposed to be used? Mongolia? It seems they've dragged Armenia into what they failed to do with Georgia. And now, through Armenia's example, we clearly see what they intended for Georgia and what they wanted all along. People used to say we were imagining things, but now it's obvious. They couldn't do it in Georgia, so they shifted elsewhere because they're struggling badly. And look how the European bureaucratic elite keeps pouring oil on the fire. I say bureaucratic elite because ordinary people in Europe are apparently in a very difficult situation. Yesterday, I watched a European Commission representative speaking about welfare policies. Honestly, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The situation regarding children, pensions, wages, jobs, a catastrophe. It reminded me of Georgia in the late 1990s. We are climbing out of that situation while they are heading into it. And our lawmakers should finally remove that absurd clause about EU membership from the Georgian constitution and never write such nonsense again. The Georgian people themselves should decide Georgia's direction at every historical stage. And then Ursula von der Leyen came out and said that prosperity in Europe would come by 2050, 25 years from now. That tells you everything about their serious plans.
German outlet Bild published satellite images on May 5, 2026, indicating that a new air defense ring is being established around Moscow. According to the publication, more than 40 additional air defense towers have been installed around the Russian capital. The Kremlin has reportedly decided to turn Moscow into a fortress amid the growing threat from Ukraine.
That's for the parade. It's clearly for the parade. Naturally, Russia will defend itself. This proxy war has become a drone war, and drones are obviously a real threat. There's nothing surprising about Russia trying to protect itself. The important thing is whether Ukraine can protect itself.
Do you rule out the possibility of a provocation where Russia itself launches a drone and uses it as a pretext?
No, they don't need extra excuses. There have already been direct public threats. Wait for us in Moscow on May 9th. What more justification would they need?
General Baluyevsky declared that the real war must begin now, saying that until now Russia had been conducting a restrained war. Security forces in Russia have also become very active lately.
Exactly. And I already told you, when they warn foreign embassies to leave, such warnings are not made lightly, especially by a militarized state like Russia. We'll see what happens. God forbid things escalate further. Personally, I physically feel the danger surrounding Kiev right now.
Isn't it also dangerous for Georgia when Zelensky deliberately turned toward Kobakidze, shook his hand and started a conversation in that direction? Kaka Kaladze later said that Kobakidze simply turned around and shook his hand because refusing would have looked strange.
Not only did they shake hands, and they spoke as well, and that was intentional too. Nothing there happened by accident. The Yerevan scenario that was written from the beginning included all of this. In their own minds, these people believe they are fighting Russia and are trying to involve as many actors as possible. This European political elite has disgraced itself. Yesterday there was footage from the European Parliament. Journalists from Imidi TV approached them, and those politicians literally ran away from the microphones, refusing interviews.
According to the Russian side, the ceasefire announced by Russian President Vladimir Putin for Victory Day came into effect today and will last until May 10th. Russia claims that during this period its forces will not strike Ukrainian military positions or military industrial facilities on Ukrainian territory. Do you think this ceasefire will hold?
What difference do 2 days make? It changes nothing strategically, but honestly, I don't think it will hold because neither side truly wants it to hold.
Explosions occurred in the Russian city of Yaroslavl, followed by a fire at an oil refinery, according to Telegram channels. Attacks were also reportedly carried out against Moscow and Rostov. The first drones were detected on the evening of May 7th. Russia temporarily restricted operations at Moscow's Vnukovo and Domodedovo airports. Moscow Mayor Sergei Sobyanin later stated that Russian air defenses had shot down the drones. Reports indicate that the Yaroslavl-Nefteorg Syntez refinery was struck, causing a fire on its territory. Rostov-on-Don was also targeted, allegedly against the Agroprom Zapchast plant. It appears Ukraine has no intention of stopping.
You reap what you sow. That's a Georgian proverb. If you shoot, you will also be shot at. One side or the other. That's the reality. In this case, one side was dragged into it unwillingly. I had hoped that by now the Ukrainian people would remove this corrupt, depraved, and destructive group from power. Unfortunately, that hasn't happened. And now we see the results. Hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians dead. The country devastated and destroyed.
Russian media, citing the Defense Ministry, report that between midnight and 7 a.m., Moscow time, Russian air defenses destroyed 264 Ukrainian drones. Targets included the Belgorod, Bryansk, Oryol, Kaluga, Kursk, Lipetsk, Rostov, Ryazan, Moscow, Tula, Ulyanovsk, and Yaroslavl regions, Krasnodar Krai, Crimea, Tatarstan, the Moscow region, and areas over the Azov and Black Seas. Zelensky has also issued a warning to foreign leaders planning to attend the May 9th celebrations in Moscow. He stated that he does not advise them to visit. It's noticeable that the number of participants has sharply decreased.
Naturally, the threat is real.
Only Fico is participating from Europe.
Fico said he would visit the graves of fallen soldiers and meet Putin, but would not attend the parade itself. Frankly, you would have to be crazy to want to attend the parade today. 264 drones were reportedly shot down, but how many might still get through? Russia obviously cannot cancel the parade. For them, it has symbolic importance. But if I were the host, I would probably advise foreign guests not to come. Putin's position is understandable, but inviting foreign guests under such circumstances hardly seems reasonable. And anyone who does go shouldn't go there overly enthusiastically either. That's essentially what Fico himself said.
The Kremlin released the list of delegation leaders arriving in Moscow for May 9th. The list includes the leaders of occupied South Ossetia and Abkhazia, Alan Gagloev, and others.
Well, we know very well what kind of leaders they are. If they didn't go to Russia, they'd probably be punished.
Also attending are Lao leader Tonglou Sisulith, Malaysia's ruler Sultan Ibrahim, Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico, Republika Srpska leader Siniša Karan, former leader Milorad Dodik, and National Assembly Speaker Nenad Stevanković.